Senator De Leon.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I want to thank our great senator from the west side of Los Angeles for articulating very accurate description, if you will, with regards to the real cost of higher education. He knows it well because he's a former UC student regent. So he's had the opportunity to actually look at the budget, understand it, and understand what these young men and women go through every single day. I'm proud to be a joint author of this measure, and I want to thank my colleague from San Diego for his strong leadership and for his ability to move this measure forward. By 2025, we'll have 1 million less bachelor degrees. That's the projection, unless we do something about accessibility and affordability. This affects all individuals, as we know, but probably areas in the Central Valley and Inland Empire and elsewhere, more rural areas, more so than other urban areas. And I think it's absolutely important that we move forward a comprehensive plan that will, one, provide for accessibility. Therefore, we need more enrollment slots. And you got to pay for those enrollment slots. And especially on the issue of the dearth of diversity, especially at the UC level, if we open up more slots, we can encourage those students from impoverished neighborhoods, urban as well as rural areas, to apply and to get into the system. But once you get into the system, whether it's a Cal State or a UC school, obviously the question's about affordability. If you don't have the resources, whether it's financial aid of some type, or if you don't have the parents provide the financial wherewithal, then affordability is going to be very difficult. Therefore, it's either A, it's going to take you much longer to graduate and get your bachelor's degree, or you're simply going to drop out. And I know there's many stories of working class families, white, Latino, African American, that drop out of your freshman year or sophomore year. Sometimes they eventually do return back to school, but they graduate in 6 years, 7 years. In fact, half of the Cal State University students are part-time students, or more accurate, they're less than full-time students, half. And in the senator's measure, SB 15, we have what they call a GIG, a graduation incentive grant, because what's never factored in is the total cost of education. It's not just about tuition. It's about the books. It's about the food to eat to survive. It's about paying for your rent. It's about paying for your bus pass or money for gasoline to get to campus, get to work, and get back home. And oftentimes, many working class students hold one job, 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. So I think it's really incumbent that we make the right strategic investments for economic growth in California. It was mentioned earlier on another debate that we're the 7th largest economy in the world. That number brings, I think, a lot of pride to all of us. When we disaggregate the data, obviously there are parts of California that don't feel like the 7th largest economy in the entire world. They feel perhaps the 20th or the 30th or the 50th largest economy in the entire world. So the economic resurgence hasn't impacted all individuals. But for these young students, Latino, African American, Asian American, white, racially mixed, to give these working class students a real opportunity to succeed at a higher education level is absolutely incumbent. Not all kids are going to go on to UC or Cal State. We know that. That's why the community colleges are going to be the engine for the state of California. If you get a career technical education, which is absolutely incumbent in the policies that we move forward. But this is a very, very important bill because it's been very well thought out. I want to thank the senator. It accounts for the resources in the budget, and it stretches the dollar to provide the most value, for these young students, these young men and women. Therefore, colleagues, it's with great pride that I believe this is a bipartisan measure. Republicans and Democrats coming together, fighting for higher education, fighting for our areas, what's the Bay Area, Central Valley, Inland Empire, urban LA, San Diego, rural's part, way up north, border with Oregon. This is a great investment, and this is a great stamp that all of us, Republicans and Democrats, can be proud of. I want to thank my colleague, our friend from San Diego, for his strong leadership on this measure, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, Senator Block, please close.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to add my thanks to our friends on both sides of the aisle for the comments they've made. And I want to especially thank my joint author, who has taken a very active role with this bill, both in the creation of the bill and in helping to shepherd its passage. I spent 26 years at San Diego State University as a professor or dean. I saw students who struggled to make it through in 4 or 5 or 6, even 7 years, partly because of a lack of access to classes they needed, partly because they couldn't get the academic advice they needed from advisors. SB 15 will cure these ills. It will help with access for students. It will help with affordability for students. It will make California's great system of higher education even greater. And it's all based on one grand concept that will benefit our entire state. It's not a controversial concept. It's that students should finish a 4-year degree in 4 years. With that, I urge your aye vote.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Lada. Leno. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Wynn. Aye. Nielsen. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wachowski. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members, please.
Jackson. Lada. Leno. Mendoza. Morrell. Aye. Nielsen. Wachowski. Aye.
Ayes 35, no 0. The measure passes. File item 97, Senate Bill 114, Senator Liu. Pass on file. File item 98, Senate Bill 149, Senator Stone. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 149 by Senator Stone, an act relating to drugs and devices.
Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the Senate. SB 149 is also known as the Right to Try Act, is a unique bill that would provide hope to terminally ill patients in the state of California. I'd like to share with you first a personal story. My mother, Charlene, and my dad got married at a very young age. My mom was 2 days shy of her 17th birthday. And they moved to this new suburb of Los Angeles called Anaheim, where we had the all-American upbringing with my sister, Lori. I'm sure that many of you can share in this experience that I had. My mom, at 57 years old, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And we went to go see a specialist at UCLA that examined my mom and said that she was terminally ill, and there was nothing that they could do for her. Like I'm sure many of you, we didn't take that answer as a final answer. We went to the USC Cancer Center. We went to the City of Hope. We kept searching for answers. We went to MD Anderson in Texas. And at MD Anderson, they revealed that there was a brand new drug that was just recently put on the market called Taxol, and that we should send my mom home and hopefully find some good results from that drug. Well, it didn't have a great ending. My mom was failing. I remember going to see her every night after I had my pharmacy practice in Temecula. I would go to her home in Murrieta, which was a short distance, and I would stay with her, and she was in bed. I would lay in bed with her and chat with her and share with her and wanting to spend as much time as I possibly could spend with her. And it was about 10:30 one night, and she said to me, "You know, Jeff, you need to go home. It's late, you've worked." And I said, "Mom, I want to spend every wakeful moment that I have with you because I know our time is very limited." And she said to me, "You know, Jeff, there's a reason why God had me have you at such a young age." And I said, "Why is that, Mom?" And she said, "So we could have a full life together." It was a beautiful moment, for both of us. I can tell you that if my mom was diagnosed with the breast cancer that she had today, that we have the drugs available today that would have cured her. She would still be alive today. And I know many of you have had experience with friends or families that have gotten that horrible news that they have a terminal illness and that have few options available to them. Terminal ill patients have exhausted all of their conventional treatment options. Obtaining access to life-threatening or life-saving investigational drugs is a very difficult process. For these patients, their only hope for obtaining potentially life-saving drugs is to request that the FDA grant them access to investigational drug treatment protocols that are going on throughout the country. Unfortunately, the process for expanded access is confusing, it's time-consuming, there's tons of paperwork to fill out with the FDA, and it may take the FDA up to a month or more to make a final decision when a patient just doesn't have the time. We feel that there's a better way. Under SB 149, a terminally ill patient can request to try an investigational drug that has passed phase 1 safety trials. In other words, you'll take the drug, it's not going to kill you, it's safe. And now they're just going to study whether or not it will solve the problem, cure the disease, as a last chance effort to save their life. Please understand that this is going to only happen under a certain set of rules. The patient has a terminal disease and has exhausted all conventional treatment protocols and options. The patient's doctor has advised of the use of an experimental investigational drug that may help them, that the investigational drug has successfully completed basic safety training, and the patient has been provided informed consent, and that the company sponsoring the development of the investigational drug is willing to make it available. This does not mandate that they do. They have to voluntarily make it available to the patient. And there's no mandates on insurance companies to have to pay for it, including Medi-Cal and Medicare. The bill contains important protections for all parties so that the doctor and the hospital advising the drug and the pharmaceutical company providing the drug will not be subject to a lawsuit. The bill passed out of Health, Business, and Professions and Appropriations committees unanimously. We've addressed many of the concerns raised by members and by those in opposition. I will continue to work with those in opposition as I hope this bill moves forward. I hope that you'll join me in giving some hope to those that have been told they have no hope in dealing with terminal illness, including children, where we have, with technology today, many innovative treatments that are coming down the pipeline where these patients just don't have time to wait. Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I look forward to closing.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion or debate on the measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, would you like to close, Senator?
Thank you, honorable colleagues. In honor of my mother, Charlene, and in honor of all of our loved ones that have passed away from terminal illnesses, and also to recognize all the wonderful pharmaceutical companies that are looking for cures for diseases, myasthenia gravis, Lou Gehrig's disease, cancer. There are tremendous advances being made. Neuroblastoma, brain cancer. I'm sure many of you saw the 60 Minutes segment where they're injecting polio virus, and we're curing neuroblastoma for the first time ever, which was a fatal diagnosis. We're on the road to helping a lot of people out. Please, I urge your aye vote today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the use of a unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 35, no 0. The measure passes. File item 99, Senate Bill 151. Senator Hernandez. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 151 by Senator Hernandez, an act relating to tobacco.
Senator Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, the truth, as Henry Waxman once stated, is that cigarettes are the single most dangerous consumer product ever sold. This bill would increase the minimum legal sale age for tobacco products to age 21. Tobacco remains the leading cause of preventable death, killing 480,000 individuals annually in the United States, 34,000 of which are California residents. Unfortunately, more than 3,800 children under the age of 18 whose brains are still developing and more susceptible to addictive quality of nicotine start smoking every single day. It is estimated that 90% of lifetime users start before age 21 and 80% first experience before the age of 18. Most underage use is furnished through illegal sales. So what I mean by that is if somebody is 18, they are more likely to have friends that are 15, 16, and 17 that are going to buy them cigarettes that they're going to get them started. Whereas if somebody is 21, the social difference is a 21-year-old is less likely to be hanging around with or getting to know or furnishing cigarettes for a 16 or a 17-year-old. It's time to stop allowing tobacco companies to make the deadly products so readily available to our youth. There was just a recent Institute of Medicine study that reported they did a study on 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds, and 25-year-olds, and they found as the age went up, the likelihood of them becoming lifetime smokers decreased, but that the age that was the most efficient was the age of 21, that if they put it to 21, they're to be less likely to smoke. This bill is a major step forward, keeping this poisonous and ultimately deadly product away from our youth. And with that, members, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or debate on this measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Dr. Hernandez, would you like to close?
Thank you, Madam President. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Anderson? No. Bates? No. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? Aye. Block? Aye. Canella? De Leon? Fuller? No. Gaines? Aye. Galgiani? Aye. Glazer? Aye. Hall? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Hueso? Huff? No. Jackson? Lada? Leno? Leyva? Aye. Liu? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mitchell? Aye. Monning? Aye. Morlock? No. Morrell? No. Wynn? Aye. Nielsen? Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? Aye. Runner? No. Stone? Aye. Vidak? No. Wykowski? Aye. Wolk?
Call absent members, please.
Wesoy? Canella? De Leon? Jackson? Lada? Leno? Nielsen? Wolk? Wolk, aye.
26 ayes, 8 noes. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 100. Senator De Leon's not on the floor. File item 101, Senate Bill 333. Senator Galgiani? Pass. File item 102, Senator De Leon is not on the floor. File item 103, Senate Bill 424. Dr. Pan, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 424 by Senator Pan, an act relating to law enforcement.
Dr. Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I bring to you SB 424, a bill that will give officers the tools they need to attain safer college campuses. Recent events, such as those that took place in Ferguson, Missouri, have made it clear that there needs to be a shift toward further police accountability. As many departments move forward with officer-worn body cams, our campus police are left behind. College and university police departments meet the same training and certification requirements of every municipal police and county sheriff agency. And just like those agencies, engage in ongoing training to continually enhance their knowledge and professionalism. However, post-certified officers who protect campuses, such as the California State University and UC systems, are not among those listed within Penal Code 633, which allows sworn officers to record statements of suspects without notifying them, which would otherwise be prohibited under state wiretapping laws. This is most often utilized during suspect interviews, in-car recordings of suspects in custody, body cams, and in phone call situations. A pretext phone call is a recording of a conversation between a victim and a known suspect arraigned by law enforcement to gain admissions or other incriminating statements. This technique provides some of the best evidence in cases of date rape and other crimes involving no independent witnesses. The exact cause of this omission is difficult to ascertain. However, it is clear that the college and university law enforcement entities need this ability to obtain recordings as dictated by their investigations. According to a study by the FBI, there were 39 incidents that occurred in the educational environment in the United States between 2000 and 2013. These incidences at school and college campuses accounted for some of the highest casualty counts in the nation. College and university police officers are also responsible for investigating sexual assaults against students, which is a burgeoning problem given the availability of alcohol, the pernicious presence of controlled substances used to facilitate sexual assault, and a newfound absence of parental supervision. Take, for example, the infamous UC Davis pepper spray incident. If officers had the ability to use body cams, we would have a better idea of what actually took place. These tools are useful not only for officers, but students and faculty. As we shift toward the need for our officers to have tools like body cams, we need to give them the ability to use them in statute. SB 424 will allow college and university police agencies to have the same tools with which to address the challenges that all law enforcement meet. We cannot promote proper police accountability if we do not give our law enforcement officers the power to use these tools. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or debate on the bill? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, any objection to the use of a previous unanimous roll call? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Fuller.
Yeah.
Aye. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wesso. Aye. Huff. Jackson. Lotta. Leno. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Monning. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nielsen. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wachowski. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members, please.
Allen. Aye. De Leon. Huff. Jackson. Lotta. Leno. Mitchell. Monning. Nielsen. Pavley. Wachowski.
Ayes 30, no 0. The measure passes. File item 104, Senate Bill 424. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill
425, excuse me. Senate Bill 425, Hernandez. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 425 by Senator Hernandez, an act relating to career technical education and declaring the urge thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this bill is presented to me as related to career technical education. The issue is brought to my attention by the East San Gabriel Valley ROP, but impacts career technical programs throughout the state of California. This bill seeks to clarify and update California law, allowing the state superintendent to clarify by name a regional occupational center and program, County Office of Education, adult school, and evening high school for the purposes of participation in federal student aid via the Title IV program or Pell Grants. The feds have made changes to financial aid regulations, prompting the need for this legislation by July 1st of 2015. Among other things, federal regulations require post-secondary programs to be authorized by name in their home state and show that a formal student complaint process has been established. Programs like the East San Gabriel Valley have been participating in Title IV for many years, but the new regulations now jeopardize their status and the ability for ROP students to continue their education if they aren't able to receive the Pell Grant. And with that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion or debate on this measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, is there any opposition to the use of unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 35, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 35, no 0 on the bill. The measure passes. File item 105, Senate Bill 461. Senator Hernandez. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 461 by Senator Hernandez, and Act relating to highways.
Senator Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this bill would relinquish 2.6-mile segment of State Highway 19, also known as Rosemead Boulevard, which is as State Route 64 from the state to the County of Los Angeles. The county will incorporate this segment into a region's largest park, Whittier Narrows Recreational Area, enhance access to the park, and improving recreational activities. This section of road will be repurposed to fully accommodate safe and convenient travel for all users of the road, especially those with disabilities, seniors, youth, pedestrians, and cyclists. The County of Los Angeles is a sponsor of the bill. I have no opposition. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Any objection to the use of a previous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 35, no 0. The measure passes. File item 107, Senate Bill 526. Senator Fuller. I just thought I'd skip him. Pardon me, Senator Fuller. May I please go back? File item 106. The good Senator Vidak, Senate Bill 497. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 497 by Senator Vidak, and Act relating to pupil transportation.
Senator Vidak.
Thank you, Madam President and members. I am pleased to present today Senate Bill 497, which requests the California Department of Education to collect and post online pupil transportation data. Pupil transportation data is important for local districts and for the Department of Education, which uses it for federal data collection. SB 497 has no opposition and has received unanimous support. I ask for your aye vote.
Any discussion or debate on Senate Bill 497? Seeing none, any objection to the use of a previous roll call? Ayes 35, no 0. The measure passes. File item 107, Senate Bill 526. Senator Fuller. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 526 by Senator Fuller, and Act relating to taxation.
Senator Fuller.
SB 526, which gives the Franchise Tax Board more flexibility to consider a divorce agreement when determining if one spouse can be relieved of a joint tax liability. Currently, the law does not give the FTB the authority to honor a divorce agreement unless a number of conditions are met. If two parties have reached a mutual agreement, an agreement they believe has fairly divided their assets and debts, then a tax agency should have the authority to honor these agreements. Both George Runner and Fiona Ma have come to me. They have sat through many of these cases, and they have found that they do not have the flexibility time and time again. And although this bill applies to either spouse, most cases affect women. Therefore, SB 526 will assist in easing the financial burden of divorced women who should have no legal obligation to pay the tax if it was part of their divorce agreement. Most of us know that when women and men go to court and have their assets divided, they feel that that is now a state record and that that will be considered in all other agreements. But our state does not allow us the flexibility to do that. We must stop this injustice because it is unfair for those who try to follow the rules and go to court, spend the money. Sometimes, in many cases, it's very difficult for them to even raise the money to get through court, and then end up with the other spouse's tax liability. So please help us voting for this bill. Again, SB 525 gives the FTB the flexibility only to consider a divorce agreement that's been adjudicated in court.